What's up, addicts? All right, time is here. This is the last weekend. If you haven't drafted yet, you're going to be doing so in the next couple of days. So I just finalized my rankings, sent out the last update, and I'm going to give you guys a real quick. This is my top 20 quarterback countdown. Number 20, Andy Dalton. Crappy O-line, but he does have AJ Green, and he has had a few fantasy seasons where he's finished well, so he's at number 20 for me. Number 19, Blake Bortles. Sucky quarterback in the NFL, but he always seems to get it done for fantasy, has a few good weeks. Number 18, Marcus Mariota. They have a different offensive coordinator, different head coach, and it looks like their offense could rebound a little bit, but still not quite enough to be a quarterback one for me. Number 17, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott, Cowboys quarterback, has had a few rough games here and there, but overall has been pretty consistent as a quarterback, and I think that this year could be a decent year for him. Number 16, we got Jimmy Garoppolo, quarterback for the 49ers, and he was traded there from New England last year, and he went on a 5-game winning streak to end the year. I think it would be a decent quarterback week in, week out. He doesn't give you a lot of upside, but decent floor. Nice pick around 10th, 11th round of your drafts. All right, number 15, one of my favorites, Pat Mahomes. I think he has a really high ceiling. I don't know that he'll necessarily hit it, but he's one of those guys, if you take a safer play in rounds 9 or 10, you can grab Pat Mahomes as your upside play. He could be this year's Deshaun Watson. All right, number 14, I've got Phillip Rivers. He's always underrated. Every year he finishes, pretty close to or as a quarterback one, and having him 14 may even be too low, but the loss of Hunter Henry does hurt, so I definitely foresee that he may not have as good of a season as we were hoping for, but I think he could still be a solid week in, week out quarterback for you. All right, number 13, Jared Goff. So last year, Jared Goff took a tremendous leap in fantasy production and on-field production. This year, I think he'll temper down just a little bit, but he does have, more weapons around him than he did even last year, and as long as the offensive line holds up, he should continue to be a good fantasy quarterback. Number 12, I have Matthew Stafford. This guy finishes right around number 8 to 12 every single year, and there's no reason that he's not going to do it again. His weapons are just as good. They got Kerryon Johnson now. Maybe they'll run the ball a little bit more than we're used to seeing in the past with the Lions, so that's why I don't have him that high, but 12, he's still a quarterback one. Get him. This is such a great value. These are the quarterbacks you should be targeting. Number 11, I have Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's second year in the Steve Sarkisian offense. I think he's going to have a much better season, be more efficient this year than he was last year. Always takes him a couple years to get used to his offensive coordinator, so I think this will be a good test for him, and I think this will be a year that you'll see his stats rebound a little bit. Okay, number 10, we have Kirk Cousins for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins obviously got signed that gigantic deal in free agency to go from the Redskins to come over to the Vikings. He has a great wide receiver core with Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, great running backs. Offensive line's a little shaky. That's definitely something to worry about, but overall I think Kirk Cousins will get it done for you. All right, number 9, we have Carson Wentz. So Carson Wentz, obviously last year had that injury, and he may not even start week 1, but he was doing so well on the field and for fantasy that it's kind of hard not to take him if he falls far enough in your drafts, because he just has such sky high upside. He could literally be the quarterback one for you if he can continue the pace. I don't think he necessarily does, but he'll still be a pretty solid player for you. All right, number 8, another one of my favorite guys, Ben Roethlisberger. So Ben Roethlisberger is going to tear it up this year. That's why I have him at number 8. I think he'll have a few down games, so I'd be disappointed, but for the most part, I think he will be a week in, week out starter as long as he's healthy, and I love his draft price right now, right around the 10th round. Okay, number 7, I have Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is playing for a pretty crappy team, unfortunately, and I think the offensive line is going to give him troubles, but if he's Andrew Luck and he plays a full season, then he always has the ability to just take over a game and put up tons of points on the scoreboard. Number 6, same thing, Deshaun Watson, same thing as Andrew Luck. He definitely has the ability to outperform each and every single week. We saw what he did in the small sample size that we had last year. I think that he could be a great fantasy quarterback for you. I think his stats come down a little bit. Obviously, you can't score touchdowns at the rate that he was scoring last year, but good enough for number 6 for me. Number 5, Tom Brady. This guy doesn't age, and every year he seems to get it done. So there's not really much to say. Tom Brady, number 5. Number 4, Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees is going to have some touchdown regression in the positive direction this year. I think last year was an outlier, and he's going to go right back to where he was. He was one of the most accurate quarterbacks ever last year. Actually, I think he's the most accurate. He set a new record. And if he just gets a few more touchdowns, and he's right back into that top 5 quarterback spot. That's why I have him at number 4. Number 3, Cam Newton. Cam Newton, every year, with the exception of one year where he finished outside of the top 20, he's always been right up there in that top 5. You know, he had the MVP season, finishing up around 3 or 4 pretty much every year. I think Cam Newton is a tremendous value this year, and I think he has the best receiver core that he's had in a long time, so there's no reason that he shouldn't get it done for you. Number 2, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is the Seahawks team. Last year, he didn't have any run game. Yes, they'll have a little bit more of a run game this year, but as long as the offensive line continues to be shaky and the defense is now nothing to really worry about, I think Russell Wilson is going to have to throw the ball just as much, if not more, than he did last year, and that led to a fantastic fantasy season. You're going to see that again. The number 1, Aaron Rodgers. He's the king. He's the best quarterback in the league, and he puts up fantasy points, so there's no reason to not take him if he falls far enough. But again, don't take a quarterback early because you're just shooting yourself in the foot. There's so many values this year. Draft a quarterback late unless someone falls really, really far. All right, guys, hope that helped. Download my PPR tiers. They're in the description box below. Have fun on draft day. Peace.